Hey everyone, PokeScion here. Last time I tried to find out if I could beat Pokemon Black 2 with only a Lillipup. This time I did something a little different. I put all the main games I could run through on a wheel and spun that first. I then asked you guys what you wanted to see next, and every option only got one vote. So I took it upon myself and spun a wheel with all those options on it, and the winner was Fearow. So that means this time we asked the question of, can I beat Pokemon Red with only a Fearow? As this is Gen 1, I think this run is going to be really janky and a little bit awkward. But that might just be me not having played Gen 1 in a super long time. Anyhow, no matter the case, I don't think this run will be all too bad. Starting as a Spearow, its base stats generally geared toward being a glass cannon, with the majority of its stat distribution being in both attack and speed. As it evolves into Fearow, that trait carries over, making it a really good Pokemon that can outspeed a lot of the rest and do a ridiculous amount of damage. Although, taking damage might prove to be a big problem. Also, because this is Gen 1, learn sets are garbage, for a lack of a better explanation. Before we get into the run, let's establish our rules. Number 1. I can only battle with Spearow, and eventually Fearow. If I battle with anything else, that current battle is invalid. Number 2. I cannot use medicinal items in battle, meaning no potions or full restores in battle. Health items would be allowed, but this is Gen 1, so I kinda can't do that. Finally, number 3. I cannot use any glitches or any game-breaking exploits. Seeing as how this is Gen 1, that's harder to do than usual, but I will try my best to avoid using any. With that all said, let's see if I can do it. Let's start by replacing Charmander with Spearow for this run. I figure that would make the run the hardest if the rival ends up having Blastoise, since it's pretty bulky by endgame and also has ice type moves in the champion battle. We beat the first rival battle pretty easily and move on to Viridian City. I decided to tackle the optional rival battle on Route 22 since I thought it'd make for some good training, not realizing that I was way too underleveled for it. I should note that besides knowledge I had of the Kanto remakes, Fire Red and Leaf Green, I'm going into Pokemon Red pretty much blind. Granted, there aren't too many major differences in trainers' Pokemon and such to make it a completely different game, but something just didn't click there, I guess. Anyways, we lost the battle the first time, so I went to grind and won it the second time. Now we go to Pewter Gym. Before that though, I have a nitpick. Why can we not buy potions until Pewter? The first major dungeon in the game, Viridian Forest, is coming up, and there's no way to get many potions to get through. So you're stuck going back to the Pokemon Center to heal. Right, Brock time. And just like that, here's our first roadblock. Our best move, our only offensive move is Peck. So as you can guess, we got smashed by his Geodude. I have no idea why, but I thought I could get away with beating Brock without being a Fearow. With that said, we already have to evolve. As I leveled up to evolve Spearow, we got Fury Attack, which may not seem like a huge deal, but it's literally the only offensive normal type move Spearow or Fearow get by level up. Yeah, remember that thing I said about learn sets being garbage? Most of the Pokemon in this game have learn sets of about 8-ish moves, most of which aren't good. Actually, fun fact for you. Did you know that Sandshrew and Sandslash do not get any ground type moves leveling up? You may think Sand Attack, but that's not a ground type in this game. Yeah, real nice, isn't it? Back to the run though. After we evolved into Fearow, Brock wasn't all that hard anymore. I mean, it may have taken a little bit of time to knock out his Pokemon, but at least he wasn't able to do as much damage as he was doing earlier. Now that we've got the Boulder Badge, let's go to Cerulean City. Misty starts with a Staryu, and I went for Leer. By this point, since I wasn't getting any better moves by level up or TMs even, I'm thinking that Leer and Fury Attack should be able to do most of the work from this point onwards. Misty used an X defense negating the first Leer, but you know what, I just did it again. After that, I started hitting my Fury Attacks and took it out without taking too much damage. Next up is Starmie. As I start up the Leer strategy, she hits a Bubble Beam, taking about a third of my HP. I use Fury Attack to take out half of hers. She uses another X defend to get rid of that Leer. Sheesh, talk about annoying. Not to mention, we have to get lucky with the number of hits that Fury Attack does. We don't. The second one I used, I only got 2 hits. She hits another Bubble Beam, almost knocking us out, but we managed to clutch it out next turn and hit the final Fury Attack to earn us the Cascade Badge. Time for another rival battle before the Nugget Bridge, and it turned out to be a really easy sweep. None of his Pokemon were evolved, so everything he had just got knocked out without much resistance. Afterwards, we headed up to Bill's house and fixed his little mishap, got the SS ticket to get on the SSN for another rival battle. We're at level 30 now, so we pretty much beat anything that isn't rock or electric type. So, as expected, Fearow beat up Gen 1 pretty badly again, and we get cut from the captain to access the Vermilion Gym. Show of hands, or comments. Who likes this gym? No one? Thought so. This is literally the part I dread the most about going back to the Kanto games. Not any battles or Pokemon, this. It could take 30 seconds or 30 minutes, with the player having no control whatsoever. Fun. As for the gym battle itself, it went a lot smoother than I thought it would. Lieutenant Surge leads with Voltorb, and I start up with the Leer combo. He goes for Screech, missing it. Then I use Fury Attack next turn and get the knockout. He then sends out Pikachu, which goes down with only one hit of Fury Attack. Wow, I was not expecting that from a base 15 move. Then his ace, Raichu. I land Fury Attack twice, doing most of its health. He then hits a Thunder Shock, doing a third of mine. I go for it again next turn, and miss. That was one of the big worries I had with the move, and of course it had to happen here. He hits another Thunder Shock, this time getting the paralysis off. He lands Thunder Shock again, leaving us at 10 HP. We lucked out though, breaking through the paralysis and landing a Fury Attack, winning us the battle and earning us the Thunder Badge. Time for Rock Tunnel, and not much of a point to having Flash, huh? I mean, you don't get to see much, but just the walls of the cave are enough to get you through it, so I just walked in the dark. Now, as for the battles, they mostly went well, except for the one time I wasn't watching my HP and got exploded on by a Graveler using Self-Destruct. Also, in this game up until Black and White, Self-Destruct and Explosion halves the opponent's defense before it's used, so they were hitting extra hard. Not that I didn't buy any healing items, I was just super trigger happy trying to get through this dark cave. So I had to go through the cave again to get back to where I was, but the rest of it wasn't bad and we made it out to the other side, arriving at Lavender Town. We've got a rival battle in the Pokemon Tower. And if you thought the last one looked easy, well, I sure have something to tell you for this one. Fearow learned Drill Peck, which is the best flying type move in this game that doesn't need any charge up. With that, we went from Gen 1 being easy to him being an absolute joke, only taking 5 HP of damage in the entire battle. Gen 1's gotta be better, both him and the games. Now, at this point in the game, your options really open up, but I decided to go hit the Celadon Gym first. At the Celadon Gym, we had a... who am I kidding? Drill Peck spam to win. We got a Rainbow Badge after that massacre. While I'm here, I went to the game corner and gambled with Team Rocket for a bit, and I'll be honest, it took me quite a while to figure out how to get the lift key. In later games, you'd just beat the grunt standing there and he'd just drop it. I was so used to that, so I didn't talk to him after I beat him, basically saying, I wasted a solid 5 to 10 minutes in there looking for it. Smart Pokemon play here. Not anymore. But after I scrambled around and eventually found it, we had our first battle against Giovanni. He sends out Onix first, and this is where you'll start seeing me use agility. The only reason why I did that in the first place is because in Gen 1, critical hits are more likely to happen if the Pokemon has a high base speed. Thing is, I didn't realize that it was specifically base speed, and thought it was current speed. So, these agility spams don't mean much since Fearow already outspeeds a good number of Pokemon as it is. Anyhow, Onix takes out 50 HP before I take it out. Not the best, but we can manage. Giovanni goes into Rhyhorn next, who goes down easily enough with 3 Fury attacks. Last but not least, his Kangaskhan. An easy knockout with 1 Drill Peck. Alright, with the Rocket Hideout done, let's go to the Fuchsia Gym next. Up against Koga, he leads with Coughing and goes for a first turn Sludge, and gets the poison. So I have to win this under a timer now. Next turn he goes for Smokescreen. I'm having so much fun right now. After a few turns, his Coughing goes down after a couple Fury attacks. Second up is Muck. I tried to use Drill Peck, but miss. Fearow did hit a crit Drill Peck the next turn to redeem itself though. His next mon was another Coughing, but we took it out with another Drill Peck. His final Pokemon is Weezing. I click Drill Peck again because why not? And Koga, for whatever reason, uses an X attack, basically giving us another free Drill Peck and winning us the battle. Not sure what was going on with the AI there, but regardless, we got the Soul Badge. And you know what? We take those. Moving on to Silphco, we've got another rival battle. It turned into another Drill Peck sweep. These rival battles come so often, yet don't amount to a whole lot, huh? Well, next up is Giovanni again. Or at least it would be if it was worth talking about. Moving on to Sabrina. Oh, did you know that this gym is as easy as walking left until you can't, then go down? Just felt the need to mention that. But hey, you can ask me anyways. Comments would be appreciated. But what happens when you take a type that is typically not known for their physical defense and a bird that hits on the physical side? A complete sweep? We absolutely floored Sabrina, although not sure why she has a Venomoth on her team considering it's not even a psychic type and weak to it. Funny choices there, Game Freak. Funny choices. As we finished off our business in Saffron, we brought some burn heal into Bladen's gym in Cinnabar. Actually, we didn't, because I can't use items in battle, obviously. But you get the idea. His Growlithe, Ponyta, Rapidash all went down with Drill Pecks. It was only Arcanine that could actually live the hit and use Takedown. But we quickly take it down afterwards, earning us the Volcano badge. Alright, now this is what I call a challenge. Giovanni for the last time. Let's do this. Giovanni starts with Rhyhorn, who is pretty chunky at this point, taking us 3 Drill Pecks to knock it out, while he uses 2 Tail Whips in the meantime. His next Pokemon though is Dugtrio. Dugtrio is a little frail on the defensive side, so that was no problem. Next is Nidoqueen. We Drill Peck it for 2/3 of its health. Then he hits a weak Poison Sting. I say that as I pray for it to not poison me. Thankfully it didn't. We take it out the turn after. Nidoking is his 4th Mon, and we hit a crit Drill Peck, one-shotting it, and then his last Mon is Rhydon. Rhydon is a significant step up from Rhyhorn, so basically Rhyhorn squared. Everything Rhyhorn could do, it could do better. After being hit with Tail Whip twice earlier, his stomps are doing a lot more than I'd like them to, while we're not doing a whole lot back to it. So we lost that attempt, but I ran it back immediately afterwards and got back to Rhydon. Fearow starts Rhydon off by hitting a crit Drill Peck, doing half of its health. From there, 2 more did the trick, earning us the Earth badge. Now that we have all our badges, nothing more to do other than head to the Indigo Plateau. But before that, we have another rival battle. Need I say more? Gen 1 was relegated to just being Drill Peck fodder. Dude, just stop stopping me in the middle of nowhere. You know how it's going to end up, and it's never going to get much different than that. There's absolutely no way that me saying this is going to backfire on me. Surely. Also, I'd like to mention, why does he still only have Execute and Growlithe instead of Exeggutor and Arcanine? You'd think by now that he knows how this whole Pokemon battling thing works. But sure, he's smart enough to evolve his starter, but not his other Fire and Grass core. Or maybe he's just waiting to get those final moves before he evolves them. We will never know. But enough about that, let's get to the league. Here's what our stats are looking like. Overall, everything looks pretty good. Both our attack and speed are ridiculously high, as you've no doubt come to expect. And honestly, our defense and special aren't too bad either. Our moveset right now consists of Drill Peck and Fury Attack. I could have swapped out Fury Attack for something like Double Edge, but ultimately decided to stick with Fury Attack since the idea of barely losing a battle purely because of recoil damage bugged me. So with all that said, let's start the battles with the Elite Four. Our first challenge is Lorelei, and what a challenge this is. Lorelei specializes in Ice-type moves and Pokemon. We're a Flying type. Flying type is weak against Ice type. I'm having fun. She leads with Dugong and lands an Aurora Beam doing a little under half of my HP. Yikes. I go for Drill Peck next turn and hit a crit, but Dugong barely survives with a sliver of its HP. She goes for Rest next turn, so we're basically reset. I hit another crit Drill Peck, taking it right back though. She uses a Super Potion? That's right. Alright Pokemon. Then I use Drill Peck again for the knockout. Lorelei sends out Cloyster next, and I'm starting to see a trend here. It takes me at least 3 Drill Pecks to knock out one of her Pokemon, and then by that point, she's already hit me with a few Aurora Beams. So we don't make it far. Second attempt a few levels later, and I managed to get past Cloyster, onto Slowbro now. She goes for a few Amnesias. In this game, Amnesia buffs both special attack and special defense, since they were both lumped into one stat. And she hits a Water Gun before it can do enough damage, getting the KO on Fearow. Guess I need to grind more to be able to get these knockouts I keep barely missing out on. Back at level 70 with stats being a little bit higher, but it's not enough. We get to her last Pokemon, Lapras, but the damage we do isn't enough to win us the battle. Many attempts later at level 75, I got so lucky with Lorelei's Lapras landing a Blizzard, putting us at 1 HP. We hit a Drill Peck taking her to red, she heals with a Super Potion, and we hit another crit Drill Peck for the knockout. Woo! That was a huge load of stress right there. That was the closest call I've had this run. Holy jeez. Yeah, never again. Thank you very much. Now that Lorelei is done and over with, let's move on to Bruno. Bruno leads with Onyx, which isn't too scary even though it's a rock type because, I mean, have you seen that base attack stat? It's literal garbage. Having said that though, its defense is really good. Since my Fury attacks weren't doing much damage, and he was using Slam, I switched my strategy to using Mirror Move to copy that Slam and just do more damage because of it. What made this annoying was that he was also weaved in using Harden and Rock Throw in between the rest of it, although we eventually took it out without many other problems. Then he sends in Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee, which were both easy drill packs since they're fighting types. Afterwards, he sends in another Onyx, so the second verse same as the first. Finally, his ace, Machamp, but that went down quickly too. Bruno's done, and that was a hell of a lot easier than Lorelei too. Let's go and fight Agatha, the ghost type member of the Elite Four. But at that point, that only means you're a master of 3 Pokemon, and because of that, she's just not hard to beat at all. And we move on to Lance. Lance time. He leads with Gyarados, swinging out with a Hyper Beam on the first turn. Not doing a whole lot, granted, and we take it out after a few Fury attacks. Dragonair is next, but Drill Peck one-shots it. Third is Aerodactyl, who I thought would be easy considering its base defense isn't that good. My first Drill Peck does about half to it, and he goes for Supersonic, landing the confusion on me. Oh boy. Since the Drill Peck I went for did half of its HP, I did it again, and apparently the damage that got it to half was a roll. Oh, by the way, every offensive Pokemon move is multiplied by a random number in the range of 0.85 or 1.00. So you might see a move do less or more than the last time you saw it. Because of that, he had the opportunity to use a Hyper Potion on Aerodactyl. Then, of course, the next turn swings by and Fearow hits itself in confusion, and Aerodactyl fires a Hyper Beam, getting the critical hit and knocking me out. What great luck I have. I could also swear that crit mattered. You know what? I want to check this now. Oh, would you look at that? It did. The numbers may be a bit off here, but I tried to replicate them one-to-one as best as I could. It just sucked that this whole sequence of events just happened. Ugh. Attempt number 2, and Gyarados casually hits a crit Hyper Beam himself, so I just decided the attempt was over right then and there. Attempt number 3, we got through Gyarados and his 2 Dragonair unscathed. And all Aerodactyl did this time was using Takedown, so we took that out too. Finally, his Dragonite. He manages to get in the Slam, but we 2-shot it with Drill Peck. That battle was a little annoying seeing crit Hyper Beams flying everywhere, but definitely not horrible. Finishing that up, the champion is the last hurdle of the run. It is champion time. Gen 1 leads with Pidgeot, who gets one-shotted by a crit Drill Peck. Alakazam, same deal. Now, Rhydon. I wanted to have a bit of fun here after seeing how much a Drill Peck did to it, so after he tries to pull Horn Drill, but can't use it because I have too high of a speed stat, one-hit KO moves were based on speed in Gen 1, not level. I decided to Mirror Move it and try to hit him with it instead. It did take a few tries, but I actually hit one. Now, that might set me up for failure later on because he did use Tail Whip on those turns I missed, but landing a one-hit KO move was enough for me. His fourth Pokemon is Arcanine. I used Drill Peck on it to start off, doing about 90% of its health. He hits a takedown, taking out 60 HP on Fearow, but we knock it out next turn. Up next is Exeggutor, and as it's a grass type, Drill Peck did the trick. Last was his Blastoise. I Drill Peck it for about half of its HP, and he lands Blizzard, knocking out Fearow. Okay, yeah, that defense drop mattered. Hey, I had fun doing it though. Alright. Attempt number 2. This time, I just brute force Rhydon with the Drill Peck instead, and when we go back to Blastoise again, we got the 2 Drill Pecks we needed to win the run. And there you have it. Pokemon Red with only a Fearow. This run was pretty quick, all things considered. Between the Kanto games being a short romp and Fearow being a relatively good Pokemon, this run wasn't as bad as the Lillipup or Surskit runs I did, which you can check out in the playlist on screen right now if you haven't already. If you did enjoy this run, give this video a like, and if you want to see more of these crazy wacky runs, subscribe to the channel and ring that bell for notifications so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.